Love has a strange way of testing us. It makes us believe in forever. It makes us dream of a life where two souls walk together no matter what storms life may bring. And for years he believed that this was his forever. For years he held her hand, through laughter and silence, through sunsets and arguments, through moments when life felt perfect and moments when everything seemed to fall apart. Because when two people stay together for so long, the relationship becomes more than just love. It becomes routine, comfort, identity, and sometimes even a mirror of who we are. But what happens when, after years of building memories, sacrifices, and dreams, everything shatters into pieces you can't put back together? What happens when two people who once promised eternity find themselves standing on opposite sides of the same story, unable to recognize the faces they once adored, unable to feel the warmth they once found in each other's arms? He never thought this day would come. Not after all the birthdays celebrated, not after the night spent talking until dawn, not after the plans for marriage, children, and a future they thought was certain. Yet here he was, staring at the quiet distance between them, realizing that sometimes even love is not enough. Sometimes years don't guarantee forever. Sometimes the bond you think is unbreakable cracks in the silence of unspoken words, in the weight of unresolved fights, in the fatigue of trying to fix what doesn't want to be fixed. He remembers how it began, how her smile was enough to change his world, how the first time she held his hand it felt like his life finally had direction, how they became inseparable, how every little thing reminded him of her, the way she laughed, the way she dreamed, the way she made him believe in a future brighter than he had ever imagined. And for a long time that was enough. Love was enough. But people change. Life changes, and sometimes love can't keep up with the versions of ourselves we become. She started to grow in ways he couldn't understand. Her dreams started moving in directions that didn't include him. Her silences became longer, her patience shorter, her presence colder, and he tried. Oh, he tried to bring her back, to remind her of who they were, of the nights they cried together and swore never to leave, of the promises whispered in the dark, of the mornings when she looked at him like he was her entire world. But no matter how hard he tried, she kept slipping away, like sand through his fingers, and it broke him. Because how do you hold on to someone who no longer wants to be held? How do you fight for a relationship where only one person is still willing to fight? He asked himself every night. What went wrong? Was it him? Was it her? Was it life? Or was it simply that love sometimes has an expiry date no one talks about? And as much as it hurt, he began to realize that sometimes love stories don't end with forever. Sometimes they end with silence, with distance, with two people who once shared everything walking away as strangers. And it's cruel. It's unfair, because how do you unlove someone you spent years loving? How do you erase the laughter, the shared secrets, the countless photos, the places that still hold their voices, the streets that still remember their footsteps? How do you move on from someone who was once your home? He couldn't, not easily. Every corner of his life was painted with her presence. Every plan he made included her face. Every song on the radio carried her voice, but the reality was unshakable. She was gone, not in body, but in heart. And maybe that's the worst kind of goodbye. The kind where someone is still beside you, but their soul has already left. He saw it in her eyes. The absence, the tiredness. The way she no longer reached for his hand. The way her hugs felt like formality. The way she stopped saying I love you with the weight it once carried. And though he wanted to pretend, though he wanted to believe it was just a phase, deep down he knew. Love had left the room. And with it, so had their future. He remembers. The night they finally broke, it wasn't a loud fight. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, almost peaceful. A mutual understanding that the love they once had was gone, that holding on any longer would only hurt them more. And when she said, "Maybe it's time we let go," his heart shattered in silence, because how do you respond to the one sentence you feared for years? How do you watch the person you once called your soulmate walk away with nothing but a sad smile? And yet that's how it ended. Years of love, laughter, tears, memories, all reduced to silence, all reduced to strangers who once knew each other better than anyone else. And as much as it broke him, he learned something. He learned that sometimes the longest relationships don't end in forever. Sometimes the person you thought would be your last is only a chapter. Sometimes love doesn't die with hate. It dies with distance, with neglect, with time. And though the pain is unbearable, life moves forward. He had to move forward. He had to learn to love himself again, to find meaning outside of her, to understand that letting go doesn't erase the love. It honors it. It acknowledges that for years it was real. It was beautiful. It was everything. But now it's gone. And that's okay, because not all endings are failures. Some are lessons. Some are redirections. Some are the painful beginnings of a new self. He still misses her sometimes. He still dreams of her. He still wonders what could have been, but he no longer hates the ending. He no longer blames himself. He no longer questions why. He understands now that love, no matter how strong, is not always forever. And maybe that's what makes it so precious, because if it lasted forever, we would take it for granted. But knowing it can end teaches us to value it, to hold it close while it's here, to cherish every smile, every moment, every second, because nothing in life is guaranteed, not even love. And though his heart still aches, though the memories still sting, he walks forward, stronger, wiser, carrying with him not the pain of losing her, but the beauty of having loved her. And in the end, maybe that's enough.